Here are two guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom. Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. We got a special guest with us. He is a former Hampton High Crabber, Virginia Tech Hokie, who did not love last night's result in the Mayo Bowl. Only if I could throw some mayonnaise over Coach Ed Young. That would just make my weekend all the better. We have the one and only Vicktory Life founder and owner-operator Dwight Vick with us. Good to see you, my friend. Happy New Year. How's life treating you?
I'm good, man. Happy New Year to you both, man. It's a good Saturday morning. During the holidays, I kind of forget what time of day it is, and I'm working today, but I made time to jump on your great show because I love you both, man. I'm blessed. I'm here. I'm happy to be here, man. Tech did what I knew they were going to do. They lost too many people to the portal and to declare for the draft, so I was just hoping they could have a good showing.
Well, yeah, listen, they did have 14 starters missing from the regular season, and I know they did have 21 of 22 starters come back from this past season, 6 and 7. People upset about that. We'll dive into that with you. Now, Bud Foster's coming back, longtime D coordinator that you know quite well from the Frank Beamer era, in an advisory role for the defense. But if you have to leave, by the way, at 12 noon sharp, which I know you do, and Ed's still yakking, which he does, just walk out of the room. Don't worry about it. He'll be asking you a question. It takes 10 minutes to ask a question. Don't worry about Ed. Just keep doing what you got to do, Dwight. So.
Hey, I ain't taking Dwight's money. I'm not doing that. He deserves his money, so he can get up and leave whenever he wants. Most of the time, Dwight, when this joker's talking, guys get up and leave anyway, so it's okay.
Oh, man.
But in all seriousness, listen, Ed's got some hard-hitting questions coming with you here on NSU and Michael, and we're going to see you on the side. I already know it's coming, but let's talk about the Hokies for a second, though, because there are a lot of people wondering. They've gotten some intriguing recruits coming in here, really a host of Virginia kids. 16 and 21 for Brent Pry through 3 seasons. What's the temperature right now? Is it hot? Is it steamy? Is it in between? What's kind of – because you hear it all the time. It doesn't go away from you 24/7, 365. What's kind of the gauge right now?
I think right now it's warm. It's warm. It's not hot because it's one of those situations in which, he's recruited very well. And, that bowl games, unless you're in a college football playoff, are not indicative to – what's going to happen next year in today's format, today's climate. You can't do like you did back in the 90s and early 2000s when, they played Notre Dame well, they beat Tennessee in the Gator Bowl, and next year they have this many guys back, because guys back, remember that term, that phrase, that means guys are coming back. And that means they're going to be there another year or two, and you can build on your depth. Now, guys are entering the portal the last game of the season, midway through the season. You have to have exit interviews. You have to re-recruit the players you have. I'm not even going to be a homer and tell you that, Tech would have beaten Minnesota if they had everybody there. But I think if you have a healthy Drones, a Tootin, who's an NFL back, Daquan Felton, the transfer from Norfolk State, and also Lane, who I thought had a great year at receiver, that's a lot of talent. You had 2 cornerbacks. One just went to LSU, making, accordingly to what I hear, a lot of money. Your 2 starting quarterbacks, one went to LSU, one declared for the draft. Tech secondary, the corners were really good this year. I think you're missing a lot. That's a different type of game. But to be fair, Minnesota was missing a lot of guys too, to the NFL, preparing for the draft as well as the portal. It's just different now, man. Bowl games have lost a lot of value. It was still a good game in regards if you're a Minnesota fan, or just good teams in regards to just matchups. But it's weird now, man. I didn't even know who was going to be playing. Some of those guys I knew were on the team. That was their first time playing, including my longtime, one of my best friends, Lauren Johnson. His son, Braylon, got some time at safety, started at safety. He hadn't played all year. He was redshirting, I thought. So, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think Pry has a great class coming in. He's doing a great job in the portal. I love, and I've been very outspoken on this kid. I love the kid up here where I'm at in Northern Virginia, Jeffrey Overton Jr.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Gatorade Player of the Year. I think he's a program changer. I've said that before. I think I was very happy to see Tech hold on to him with the recruiting, because I know he had a lot of people trying to steal him away and get him to flip, because he is that dynamic. He was not Gatorade Player of the Year for nothing. I love Pry. He was there when I was there. I think he gets it. I just think sometimes you got to have the right pieces around you. Everyone talks about. I played for Ed and Matt. You guys know this. I played for two Hall of Fame coaches, and Mike Smith and Frank Beamer, and the both things about them that stand out even now as I get older, upper in my age, is that they had Hall of Fame staffs with Danny Mitchell and Coach Mann, Coach Woodrow, Coach Gumpton, Coach Gilliam. God rest Danny Mitchell. So I love that guy. And then you look at Beamer, Billy Height, Kavanaugh, who recruited the 757 area, Steinspring, who's the head coach at Roanoke College. So many guys. Bud Foster, legendary defensive coordinator, who's helping out again. That staff, Todd Grantham, and I can go on to Ricky Bustle. That was a Hall of Fame staff. And you look at, even a lot of these great coaches who are now retiring, some prematurely, some because of NIL or just personal reasons. It's the same thing. You look at the basketball coaches I grew up on with Coach K, Roy Williams, Jay Wright, all these guys, the great Tony Bennett, who I'm a big fan of. The game is changing, and we can spend a whole another 2 hours on this, but I think you have to be able to evolve with it, and you have to not just recruit, but also maintain momentum while these kids have so many else distractions compared to when I played.
Yeah, you nailed it. Two things there. I'll let Ed jump in here, Dwight. Number one, Jeff Overton Jr. is phenomenal. I think he's Reggie Bush 2.0. Like, that's how good he could be for Hokies fans. And by the way, I did a rant on our On the Hash podcast when the whole Hayfield thing was going down. Shame on the coaches that picked him second team All-State this year. That's a disgrace. That kid, like you said, was player of the year. I know what happened at Hayfield, but it's an absolute crock that he got second team All-State. My jaw dropped when I saw that because it's laughable. He's the best player by far. The only back even in his stratosphere is probably the back at Liberty Christian. It's in even his stratosphere. But anyways, number two.
Hold on. That All-State thing, I can say this now because my son graduated.
Sure.
I'm not even being LeVar Ball right now. My son was second team All-State last year in Class 6, and that was a travesty. I was confused. And I'm just like, but I talked to some coaches. I believe the format is different compared to when I played, how they do it. But
it is.
They kind of had.
Ed can go on an even longer rant than both of us on this because he's been in those meetings and he's thrown pencils and knives and forks and scissors at people because not only did some of his kids get jobs, but other kids from an area code or certain schools got jobs. But the second point, before I let Ed jump in here, and Ed actually had said something earlier in the show that you just said moments ago in regards to the bowl games. But the second thing, I thought Tech's season pivoted, Dwight. Not that they would have won 8, 9, 10 games for playing the ACC championship, but that Miami loss, that was a controversial loss. I thought it changed their whole season. That game I thought was stolen from them on the call that you shouldn't have reversed. Whether it was a catch or not, you call it a catch and you change it. In Miami, they won the next 3 games. Now, I'm not sure they beat Syracuse on the road to Clemson, but I thought it changed the whole complexion and the feel of the season. That just one game would have given them that big moment over a top 10 team on the road that would have given a little more mojo and staying power for Brent Pry. But Ed, you said it best earlier, just like Dwight did too. The bowl games don't have as much meaning as they used to.
No, it really doesn't. And as Dwight said, Tech's losing 14 guys. Okay, when is this all known? Because it changes the situation. Marshall was even worse. They had to pull the whole team because it's a joke. I think back in the day, the bowls were nice because it rewarded because you only had 2 teams. Really, they didn't even happen. You had to be voted number 1 at the end of the year. You were the national champion. Case closed. Everybody goes to the bowls. Bowls meant something. That's changed drastically. So to me, the bowls are a waste of time, especially when you got 6-6 against 6-6. And this year we had a 5-7. What are you rewarding? Mediocrity? So it needs a complete overhaul. It just really does. And my suggestion was we go to 16-team tournament. You play the first round at the higher seeds. You put all 9 conference champions in. Now we only get 7 at large, but to me, you got to reward the champions. I disagree with him, Dwight. I don't love the CUSA and Sun Belt, even though I do broadcasting for ODU in the Sun Belt. I don't love those teams in the playoff because if they go 7-5 and win a crummy league, I'm not sure they belong in. But that's something me and Ed will fight until the end of time. So when you look at it, they have no chance ever for a national title, more than likely. True. But if you don't put them in the playoff system, they definitely will never get it. So they need to be rewarded or get rid of the conferences, as David Glenn from the David Glenn Show just said in our last guest. You can see the SEC and the Big Ten pulling in some more teams. Each have 24. There's your 48.
NFC,
screw
AFC
everybody
pro
else.
football. Yeah.
It's right after the model. We already doing a pro football model in terms of NIL, because the NIL is not what it once was. And it just happened, image and likeness. If we use them in an ad, that's out now because it's pay for play, and the schools can actually pay them now. It's this, and Dwight said it. If you can't keep up, you are definitely gone and lost. Now, when I go to Virginia Tech itself, and I can't speak anywhere near what, of course, Dwight is because he is Virginia Tech. I'm Notre Dame, even though I didn't go there. My thing is, at one time when the ACC was a good, very good football conference, not a power, but good, Virginia Tech had a little bit of national flair, Southeast, a little bit to the Midwest especially. That has definitely gone now. And it's almost like if you're not an SEC or Big Ten, as David said, those people get, who's playing? But when you say ACC and Big 12 now, it's like, I got to go cut the grass. I think Tech with pride, and I hate when people talk about getting rid of coaches because I am one. I think David, in changing his staff, he fired some people. I think that's shot number one. Hey, you better do something because we're about to do something. So you change your staff. Now he changed his staff. Now what has to happen is they got to start winning so people can say, damn, he did a good job. He changed his staff. It helped. That was the problem. And it may not have been. If he does, it changed the staff and it doesn't work, now more eyes go on him like, okay, we need to make a change. That's usually what happens in college sports. When you see, especially in football more than basketball, when you see some changes with the staff and that guy, as you said, is in some warm water, the temperature will be turned up if they don't win after those staff changes. So I think that's what he's in. But most of these guys at that level got to know, hey, it's a different time of year. If we're not winning 10, 11, 12 games, I already know I'm gone. I just have to make sure I can land somewhere else where I can stay 4 or 5 years, still make my money. But I think that's the situation Virginia Tech is now. I don't know they're a national brand anymore because of the league.
No, I'll say this. Virginia Tech is still, with the lunch pail and the history and the entrance. But I think when you have fallen as a program to mediocrity with 7-6 records, and that being the ceiling right now, you're giving more historical lessons and perspectives than relevancy. And I think the issue when I look at my alma mater in the football program, the talent's there to have a handful of players drafted again. They still have a lot of guys playing in the NFL. Michael Vick, I know we're going to talk about him. My cousin lives on forever. I mean, his impact was so huge. There are people who had never seen him play when they weren't even born yet. They recognize who he is. And of course, you have Tyrod and so many guys, Cam Chancellor. You got household names, Bruce Smith. The issue is relevancy. And I think it's simple. Virginia Tech right now is still trying to get back to an identity. Even with programs like Miami, who has never won the ACC, has a ton of talent, had a great season, but they were a national championship contender this year, are still trying to find out who they are post Miami's era of dominance. And I think Virginia Tech has to simplify things and have an identity. I think when you watch Tech play, the entrance is great, and they have the lunch pail, they have players. And, if they win that Miami game, who knows? And then I think they beat Syracuse. They had a lot of games they gave up leads in the second half, late in the fourth quarter. That to me comes down to your strength and conditioning, your mentality, and coaching, time management, clock management, execution. I think that's what it comes down to. You look at Minnesota, that's a team that lost a combined 4 points to Penn State. They lost combined 4 points to Penn State and Ohio State. They have a very good team. Minnesota and teams like Wisconsin and even Notre Dame, when I watch Notre Dame, obviously they're playing for a national championship. They have an identity. Those teams have identity. When you go back the last 25 years in Virginia Tech's history, they always had an identity, not just the special teams with Beamer ball, but they appeared to be physical, aggressive on defense, always had really, really great running backs, had a lot of kids from in-state, especially from my home area, the 757. Pry's trying to reinvent that, but I think he needs to put his own twist on things. I think there needs to be more accountability within the program and an identity. And I think changes was needed because I think when you talk about when it comes to getting the identity, It just comes down to making some necessary changes within your staff. People forget Dave Brain, the great AD that helped Virginia Tech get to where they needed to be. Then came Jim Weaver. Dave Brain, before he went to Georgia Tech, had a conversation with Beamer, and Beamer is a class act, loyal guy, and everyone knows it's tough to fire people you respect. He made some tough decisions and brought in Phil Almation and Gary Tranquil. You got to make tough decisions as a coach. I mean, as a former player, when I played football and basketball for two great coaches, I said two. I also played for a third Hall of Fame coach and Coach Brower.
Mm-hmm.
He made tough choices. You know, there were times he made tough choices. All three of them, Beamer, Smith, and Height. You gotta do that in order to sustain any type of success in today's landscape of college sports. You just can't be complacent, because the ACC, some people say, is in a gray area. I think they'll be around, but I think right now you look at Duke won 9 games, Syracuse won 9 games. In the ACC, where you could have won that conference this year, or at least played for a championship. This is not your dad's Clemson team. Virginia Tech underachieved mightily.
Well said. Well said. Ernest Mitchell chiming in with us too. Ed, go ahead.
All right, now Dwight. Okay, let's call it what it is. Now I got to ask the hard hitting questions.
Oh, here he goes.
Michael Vick, named head coach, Norfolk State University. Great move by the university. I was at Matt and I were both at the conference. Michael's very humble. He could tell he don't like all that fanfare stuff.
He don't. He doesn't. That's what I do. I'm his spokesperson.
There you go.
Okay, and see, this is what I'm getting. I've been wanting to know to spill the beans on things that are going to happen in the future, like a Swami here. So I'm already going to put it out there. Dwight Vick is on staff at Norfolk State. So don't tell me, oh, Ed, hold on, wait a minute, Ed. I like what I'm doing. I don't want to get involved in all that craziness. It's clear. Dwight Vick is on staff. Now, the question is he going to be out there on the line showing those guys how to get it done, how this Vick on the line did it, as opposed to the one that was throwing? Or is he going to be the quality control guy, making sure everything, because it's Michael's first time, okay? Or is he going to be the guy who knows the administrative type assistant, because Dwight knows all about the NIL, how the portal works, and he's eyes over everybody else. So
he'll be there, Mike Lombardi, is what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
Michael can concentrate on the thing that he's being hired for, coach the damn team, and then have the right people around you, because everybody knows. I was gracious enough to win 500 games, and they always ask me, what do you attribute to? A, I've been around a while. B, players. C, assistant coaches who gave up a lot to do what I need to have done to help me, because I can't do it by myself. So Dwight, that I gave you all this time to think, what position is Dwight Vick taking at Norfolk State so we can get excited about another Vick coming?
Okay, all right. So obviously people know, this is why I love jumping on, because this is never boring. You guys are entertaining. You're right about the fact Mike doesn't like the spotlight. He has always walked in humility. He doesn't, when you watch the Evolution of a Black Quarterback, his documentary that did well on Amazon Prime, he still is overwhelmed and kind of flattered by the fact that so many even new age quarterbacks, like Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud, call him the GOAT and look up to him. His influence is eternal, and he's an iconic figure. But, me and him talked a lot about this situation. I'll say this before I get into my thoughts on Mike taking the job. I will be involved in some capacity. Vicktory Life, my practice, and Vicktory Life Youth Sports, my 501c3. I have 2 businesses. Vicktory Life has been a movement that's really taken off. I'm a licensed therapist, but I do mentoring. I do speaking engagements. I have my own podcast. It's really just the last 5 years, because of people like you guys have really empowered the movement. So I'm based out in Northern Virginia. I do want to expand my business to the 757. I've been trying to do that for years. Just hasn't worked out right, just because of, I have a small team of people up here in Nova. So there's been some conversations about me coming on in some capacity from a student wellness, mental health, life skills piece, because I really am excelling that. I talked to my longtime friend, and, he wasn't my teammate, but he was, to me, the GOAT at UVA and at Hampton High and Heritage High School, and Elton Brown. I know he's going to be involved. At least that's what I'm hearing and talking in some capacity with coaching the line. But again, everyone has not been officially hired yet. So I'm not at liberty to speak too much about that just based on labor laws and things like that. But I'm going to be involved because one of the things me and Mike have always talked about, we had our podcast for 3 years before he started doing his stuff with the documentary. And then, of course, I was at Tech a couple of years with him. He was a redshirt and I was a senior. And then I came back and helped coach after I got cut from the Ravens in the strength and conditioning program with Mike Gentry. We've always regretted the fact that we couldn't play together. They weren't going to burn his my red shirt senior year. And then, of course, he got drafted, took Tech to that national championship game. And then, he went on and he actually, I don't tell this story much at all. I think I rarely told it, but he reached out to me his first year in Atlanta. I had just gotten married and he asked me to come and live with him and just be around him in Atlanta. And I never did it because I was just starting my family. And I regret that because, I really feel like, I have a big influence on him and we have a special bond, a brotherhood, even though we're cousins, but I love him. I'm proud of him. I think his story is remarkable because I think when you look at everything that he's been through and accomplished and even some of the adversity and some of the issues he had, his story is one of inspiration to so many people in Virginia and beyond. I think that's why he's loved, and yet, he still wants to pour into the community and give back. I'm excited. My dad went to Norfolk State. I grew up going to the Battle of the Bay. My mom is a Hampton University grad back when it was HI. She got her master's from Hampton University as well. I grew up going to the Battle of the Bay, eating chicken sandwiches wrapped in aluminum foil and seeing the step shows and the band. So I'm an HBCU baby. My mom also taught for 4 years at Norfolk State as a professor in biology and other sciences. So I grew up on Norfolk State and Hampton University's campus. I grew up hearing my father yell, "Behold the green and gold" for years. So it's a bit of a homecoming for both of us. I'm very emotional and very excited for Mike. Ed, so I don't have much breaking news, but Dwight Vick will be involved in some capacity because I want to be involved. Me and Mike could never play together. Maybe this is the arrogance in me because I'm humble myself, but I always felt like if I would have played in that national championship game, I would have won, even though I can't guard Peter Ward and I can't catch passes. I feel like, me and Mike we just always have great chemistry, and I was a pretty good player at Tech. But truth be told, man, I'm just very excited for him and I want to be involved. And the one thing he's told me in making his decision, he said it wasn't easy because he knows Norfolk State or any job being a head coach is very hard. He spent a lot of time talking to Andy Reid and other coaches and Tommy Riemann and Dion, especially. Him and Dion had a lot of talk. So this decision was not made this year, or I should say 2024. It was a buildup because he always wanted to coach. And he told me some of the stuff he's done with 7-on-7 and his V7 stuff really inspired him because he really loves working with kids. And I'm very excited at what these kids are going to get. And I'm excited for the Tidewater area. I've always been upset as someone that grew up in Newport News and Hampton. I always hated the fact that we did not have a pro team. I know we had the Tidewater Ties when I was a kid, but I'm like, we are the largest metropolitan area in the country without a pro sports team. And I'm like, the 7 cities, if you get the right team or person down there, it is the perfect location. I know the tunnel traffic can be insane, but I live in Nova, so it's doable. I just want it to be a situation where we get something down there because we have always yearned for that. Again, it was the same way when I was a kid. And I'm like, if ODU ever gets a football team, I would always say that. So the truth be told, man, I think it's going to be great for the Hampton Roads 757 region because it's just going to be a lot of media attention, national media. And I also think Norfolk State is, Bobby Blizzard coached there, Hampton High, great. He's coaching at Hampton University now with Muffin and those guys. So we've talked Hampton Crabbers, Phoebus Phantoms, and Maury. A lot of people down there know what Norfolk State is capable of if you get the right group in. And I just think, there's a lot of stuff that has to be done. The culture, administration, a lot of stuff has to be done. Ed, you know this as a coach. Your culture and your vision and your mission has to be on one accord. So everyone from the cleaning crew to the medical staff, the trainers, to the janitorial staff, everybody's got to be on one accord. That's what I saw when I played for Mike Smith and Frank Beamer. Everybody from Diane Limerick, the trainer, and the assistant coaches knew what Mike Smith wanted and what we all wanted, not just to win, but to put on a good product and have your players graduate and stay out of trouble and go on for those qualified to the NFL. And the last point I'll make is that Mike said, Dwight, well, we say cuz. He said, hey, cuz, I really want, when I leave here for Norfolk State, whenever that is, to be much better in a better situation. I don't think people realize what kind of heart Mike has. You talk about the great historical runs and throws, the Deshaun Jackson and all the Monday night madness against the Washington Commanders, then the Redskins. But I think what people don't realize is he was humbled by his situation and he came out more inspired to make a difference. And, to take on this job, he recognizes it's going to be hard, but I'm just curious to see what staff he's going to bring on. We talk every now and then. I'm not giving you guys any breaking news right now on that, but we are talking. For those tweeting me and my DMs are blowing up, my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
I'm sure.
I don't have any say on who he hires. I've got more film than Mel Kiper in 2 weeks, more tape on players. But again, I'm excited because, I want to help, but I'm not going to do that. I think my specialty will be the life skills, mental health stuff, because I'm really good at that. Can I coach? Absolutely. I've coached before, but that's not something I think, Ed, this is respect to you. I coached a few years at Parkview High School. I was the assistant head coach and I was the O-line coach in 2008. And that's when I told my wife, I said, I had no idea these guys did this much. And that's high school. I remember we were done with two-a-days and I was walking to my car because practice was over. And my head coach said, hey, Vic, where you going? We got to break down film, scout, do this, do that. I said, bruh, it's 7 o'clock. What we doing here? He said, hey, we got to do this. And then I need you to go over here and scout this team. They got a scrimmage Thursday night. Luckily, my kids were little. And that's when I realized, oh, my God, they really earned their check. So you got to really love to coach, especially, no disrespect to my youngins out here, this generation with TikTok and trends and NIL, because in Virginia, you can get NIL in high school, all the different distractions. You better know how to connect. You better have somebody that can hold these kids accountable and yet be their friend, good cop, bad cop. You got to know how to read the room. You got to be a therapist one day, a father figure. So anyway, man, Mike and I have had these same conversations. I'm excited for him. I think he's been very fortunate to play and be around guys like Tony Dungy, Mike Tomlin, Tommy Riemann, Andy Reid, who I love to death. Don't know him, just love him from a distance because I think he's done a lot for people outside of football. When you're around that many great men and you have a great mother in Brenda, you're going to get it right. I just want people to be patient because everyone can't be Dion, and there's a lot of work to do at Norfolk State, but it can be done. You just have to kind of chip away and build towards the right thing and build your foundation accordingly.
Well put. We'll revisit this conversation. If something goes wrong, blame Ed. If it goes right, thank me. And we're happy for you, Michael, the entire Vick family. And we'll have this conversation when we have more time. One final shot, Ed, because he's got to roll. He should have left 5 minutes ago.
No, I know how this goes, so I text my client that I was going to be on in 10 minutes. So
all
you got to
go
go ahead.
And you're making too much money to begin with anyway, so it's okay to give up a little. But in trying to be serious on this, Dwight, me personally, you would have to be on staff because, and not so much down in the trenches. We know you can coach, but what you bring, what you just said, that mental aspect, that administrative type, that overview, because you've been to the different levels. You've been under guys who got it done the right way. So you can see it from that thing. Michael's going to have a ton of eyes on him. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, nobody wants to say this, but I'll say it because I'd say some, because of that past situation of his, there are going to be people saying, I can't wait till he screws up. I can't wait till he gets his butt fired. He should have never been hired. And Michael, and I know he's going to do it. He needs to shut all that crap out because you're never going to change those people's mindset. It's just the way it is. Focus straight ahead. You would be somebody who would be so good for that would help that situation. So all I'm saying is when you get in there and get to 6 figures, I'm not coaching right now, so I need a little bit of money on the side. You can donate to my foundation. And you said earlier about coming down into this area with what you do, and it is tremendous, and it's not really caught hold. That's because you didn't have me and Hatfield in there doing something for you.
Well, I know.
We can pull some stuff. I mean, this knucklehead does some crazy stuff, but he knows his stuff. And I find somehow, some way through my idiotic ways of doing things to get through to people. So, because right now I'm not coaching and it's killing me. It is absolutely.
I know you miss it. I will say this: between Eric Brown, my longtime brother, longtime teammate from Hampton High, he reps Vicktory Life. Sean DeVailey, some other guys across the water, other coaches. Matt, every now and then, people send me screenshots and say, "Hey, Matt is wearing your stuff. He's interviewing some players over in Ocean Lakes or whatever." Yeah. So I appreciate the love, but again, it's just more so about letting the process take shape. I'm definitely going to be involved. I don't want to speak prematurely because I want to respect the process, and it's just everyone's excited. This is why I said, man, you know, I love where I'm from. I love the 757. I'm able to do the right way to help protect Mike and also uplift Norfolk State. You know, it's crazy too, and you never know, man, too, because my son is at Fort Union. He's a prospect, and he's hearing from ODU. So my daughter goes there now, my oldest daughter. So that would be a blessing, because you know, me being down there, Mike, but again, who knows what's going to happen? That's the beauty of this, what we do, right? You never know, and we have to see it take shape. I am excited though. I love the 757, and I love the fact that we're getting this kind of attention because it could be great for the area. Revenue, branding. It'll also make Hampton University and ODU step up. So I love that. Somebody just said they love that hat.
Yes. All right. John Cunningham, who actually had the best of 7x7 years ago. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all for letting me come on,
thanks
man.
Thank you so much, Dwight. All the best to you. Have a great weekend, and I'm sure we'll touch base soon, and Ed will be bugging you about something, I'm sure. So.
No. All I'm going to say in parting is thanks, Dwight. It's always a pleasure. I wish I could sit down and talk more with you things. And it's okay that I don't rep your stuff because you never sent me nothing. So you give him all the swag.
Hold on. Hey, you know what? Text Matt your stuff, your size and address. I got you. Your size.
Look at that. He'll take care of you.
Text Matt your hoodie size and your address, you know, and I'll get it to you. I got you.
I mean, I'm not begging. I'm not begging. But you see, I'm not begging.
He is begging.
No. Because if I got you the way you speak and the way you call it out, it's going to be more attention for the brand. You know,
listen, trust me.
Yeah.
Dwight, he's been to more games this year than I have. Okay, he's driving me crazy. We need him to get coaching. I'll let him coach an elementary team for crying out. Get him out of my hair. So.
Yeah, I got you. I mean that. Text Matt.
We will. Appreciate you, my friend. All the best to you and your family. We'll talk again soon.
All right, y'all be blessed.
All right, Dwight.
That's the one and only Dwight Vick with us.